welcome to the training video. This training video will be in 3 parts. Each one should be no more than approximately 15 minutes. Our main goal is to share with you the reasons we do what we do and to explain how to do what we do so that we minimize mistakes, and not only minimize mistakes, have you do it better than anybody else previous to us has done it. We do genuinely want you to use your best creative efforts to quote-unquote sell the property, but we wanted to do it in the constraints of what we've learned to be very, very beneficial. So please follow the directions very, very carefully. And if you want to make suggestions, make sure you get them approved before you incorporate them into any open house. The purpose, the ultimate goal of the open house, unlike what many people think, it's not to sell the product, though that is the end result. The purpose of the open house is to create an environment to maximize the potential of an emotional attachment between the buyer and the product. After 10 years of being in this business, I'm still shocked at how often buyers tell me they fell in love with the condo the first time they saw it. So what we're trying to do is create an environment where the buyer genuinely falls in love with the condominium. So number one, we're trying to show the product in its best light. Number two, we're trying to give what we call the sales pitch in the shortest, most efficient, clear method possible. And we only want to give the sales pitch if the customer, the buyer, is actually receptive to hearing it. So we actually ask permission to speak to the buyer before we give the sales pitch. We give a secondary sales pitch inside of the model to try and stretch out the only 1 minute we have to talk to a buyer into 2 minutes. So we do a minute at the entrance and we do a second minute inside the model. And we try and engage the buyer in what we call the exit conversation. And there's many reasons for the exit conversation, and we'll go through it, but the main reasons is to overcome objections and get them back into the unit, to be open that if they're ready to buy, to write an offer, and to get permission if they're not ready to buy an offer but don't go back into the unit, for me, Yaron, to call them and quote-unquote close them, see if we can overcome any objections, get to their truth, and hopefully sell them the condo that they've just seen. So again, the ultimate goal of the purpose house is to create an interest sheet. That means that the buyer is receptive to making an offer or has some very serious questions that he wants answered before making an offer, and to get him to give us permission, for me, Yaron, to speak to them. The top 7 buyers we've identified in the marketplace today are people who just got married, divorced, had a baby or had a death, got a new job or a substantial raise, or lost a job or had a substantial loss of income or a relocation. The 7th one is a father or mother helping a child buy a condo, a child, quote unquote. We find that many 25 to 35-year-old buyers today, their parents are very, very helpful in buying. Now those are the 7 top. It doesn't take away that we treat everybody respectfully and professionally. Now I'm going to go through the open house procedures and scripts. You're going to get it in writing. It's very, very important that when you do an open house, you actually have this sheet in front of you and you're check marking the things that were done, because we don't want to have mistakes. So number one, be professionally dressed, and you must have a name tag at all times. Number 2, leave your purse or bag in the car. There have been stories, you're helping one person and another person grabs the bag and walks away. It doesn't happen often. Thank God we're in very good areas of town selling one of the best products. But even with that, I don't want to leave valuables, wallets, or things like that on the table here that you're working on. Use the open and close checklist. Actually use this checklist to go down the list to make sure you don't forget one of the items. Unlock all the unsold units and turn on the lights. And here I'm going to make a note for emotional, and I'll get back to you guys. So every unit that's sold we don't open. Every unit that isn't sold, every unit that is sold we do not open. Every unit that's available we open, and we turn on all the lights. The only exception is the bathroom fan that makes noise, but all the other lights in the unit gets opened all the time. Now use your smarts. If it's a cold day and the fireplace is working, turn it on. If it's a really hot day, the air conditioning is available, turn that on. If you smell paint, open the door so you get fresh air. Use your knowledge to what you're going to do with the open. take down the flyer box and store it in designated area. The flyer box is a box outside of the property that has the flyers. We don't want people to grab the flyer outside and then bypass us. We want them to need to come to us for us to give them the flyer so that we can have an interaction with them. Generally, this table, and it really is this clean with a sign-in sheet and pens, we like to have the interaction with the buyer at the entry of the property or in the elevator lobby. Our main goal is to be in a location where they can easily find us, be in a location where we can quote-unquote control the development, see who's been there, who hasn't, who's been there a long time, who hasn't been, and as importantly, be able to see people as they come out of the elevator to the first floor and see people who come in from the street. So place yourself visibly, yet in control of the open house where you see everything. Put out flags and signs. Everybody should know how to open the garage door and keep it so it stays open, and we'll give you instructions. And very, very important to say the script 15 times every open house. 5 times perfectly in front of somebody you work with or in front of the mirror. I can't stress enough how some seasoned agents think, oh, I've done this open house so many times, I know it cold, but they end up messing up the first 3 or 4 times. Just like the major football, basketball, and all other sports stars practice before every game to warm up, we need you to practice so the first interaction with that first buyer goes smoothly and you're not missing any of the points. Do's and don'ts of the open house. Try to set up in front of the building as we talked. Always facing the direction of where people are coming in. So if you're in a building where the elevator's here and the entry's there, try and be facing both so that when somebody comes out of the elevator, they're not looking at your back or that you have to turn around. Always have in your hand a notepad, pen, and a handful of flyers. And when we role play the open house, which we'll be doing soon, we're going to show you that. Never ever be on a cell phone. That is completely unacceptable. You will have Eric and my phone numbers plugged into your phone, so when we call, that's almost the only call to be taken during open houses. And in an open house, if you get a call, please step away from the area where you're meeting people. You don't want to be rude. As far as lunch and food, you know the open house times. Please eat in advance so that you don't get hungry during. Oftentimes open houses are quote-unquote during the lunch period, so have a large breakfast or eat a snack before. Now if you really want to bring a snack with you, there's no going to lunch when you're only there for 3 hours. Bring a snack with you and have a power bar or something, but again, professionally and when nobody's around. Be sure to have the best current script, and please write all comments from all buyers on the notepad so we can share it to the developer. A final thing before we actually get into the scripts, we're a big 1-minute salesperson team. There's a CD that discusses how to visualize the results you want in advance of an open house, and please take the minute. It's in your scripts how to do it. It's very important that you listen to that CD and you visualize what you want to happen before each and every open house. So I'm going to invite Victoria and Ian here, and they're actually going to show you the 3 sales opportunities we have.
Welcome. Thank you for coming. Can I give you a brief description of the property? You just simply want to walk around?
I'll take a description.
Great. Well, we have 15 new residences here. They're all 2- and 3-bedroom condominium style, 4 corner units per floor. Except for the first floor, we have 3 and a recreation room. We have 2 units remaining. They're both 3 bedrooms. They range from 1,607 to 1,725 square feet. We have a model unit which is open and furnished to give you a sample of the floor plan. And if you have any questions or would like to make an offer, please see us. If you don't mind signing in first, we appreciate that.
Sure.
And please head to models 203 and PH1.
Thank you. Hi, welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
May I give you a brief description of the building, or would you just like to simply walk around?
No, description's fine.
Great. Well, this is a brand new development, and we have 15 units and 4 towers. Now, we only have actually 3 units left. We have 1 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath, and we have 1 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath with a den. We actually have 2 of those. So the square footages range from 1,550 to 2,100 square feet. Prices are right there on the back of your flyer. Now, each unit does have its own elevator stop, and 2 have their own private lobbies. Also, each unit comes with 2 parking spaces side by side in the garage and also its own private storage. Now, because the units in this development, they have been really designed to parallel the privacy of a single family home, it can be a little challenging to tour. So I'd say definitely start with unit 30, which is our model, and then from there go up to 40. Come back down here and I'll tell you how to get to the other units.
Great.
Okay, so if you can sign in for me, that'd be great. If you have any questions, let me know if you'd like to make an offer.
Great.
So go to unit 30, which is the model, this elevator right here.
Thank you.
Hi, welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
May I give you a brief description of the building, or would you just like to simply walk around?
I'll just walk around.
Okay, if you can sign in for me real quick, that would be great. Thank you.
What units are open?
Oh, this is actually a brand new development with 15 units and 4 towers. Now we have 3 units left. We have 1 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath, and we have 2 left that are 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath with a den. Now the prices are on the back of your flyer. Square footages range from 1,550 to 2,100. Now each unit does have its own elevator stop, as well as 2 of the units left have their own private elevator lobby. Now each unit also comes with 2 parking spaces side by side in the garage, as well as its own private storage. Now this building really was developed to be like a single family home, the privacy. So it can be a little challenging to tour. So if I can just tell you, start at model unit, which is 30, okay? Go from there up to 40,
Okay.
and then come back down, I'll tell you how to get to the 3rd unit. If you can sign in for me, that would be great.
Great.
Yeah, if you have any questions,
I already
let me
did.
know. Okay, and then if you'd like to make an offer, let me know. But remember, go up to 30 first.
Thank you.
Is where you're going.
That was wonderful. So he comes in through the front door, and the first thing that Ian says is,
Can I give you a description of the unit, or would you like just to walk around?
Sure, I'll take a description.
Well, excellent. If you'll notice, the front door is a solid Cremona door with stainless steel hardware.
Oh.
And in the kitchen, you'll notice stainless steel appliances with granite countertops. And in the living room, you'll notice a floor-to-ceiling precast stone mantle. You'll also notice mahogany wood flooring, an extensive use of recessed lighting, and crown molding.
Oh,
In the bedroom, you'll notice there's a large walk-in closet, also with recessed lighting and crown molding to give it a look of grandeur.
wonderful job, Ian. And obviously, because we're videoing, we're not walking around the development. During open houses, we'd prefer you walking around with the buyer. All right, so let's go ahead and go right to sales opportunity number 3. The individual has come and received the first sales pitch.
right.
He's gone to the unit and has received the second sales pitch. I should note that in the second sales pitch, if he says, no, I want to walk around, what are you saying?
Great.
And you shut up.
Yeah.
And you just say nothing. And again, 90% of the time they'll come back and ask you for questions. And if they do, regardless of the question, what do you give them?
It's great. Great.
So now we're at the sales opportunity number 3. Victoria has already received the sales pitch number 1 from Ian. Victoria has met Ian's twin up in the model unit and has seen the model and seen the other units. Victoria is now going back to down the elevator, about to leave the building, meeting Ian at the entry. And go ahead.
Well, which unit did you like best?
I think I like PH1.
Oh, excellent. Why are you buying?
Oh, you know, I'm about to have a baby, and so my husband and I are looking for a place to, to a new place.
Great. Well, are you ready to buy today?
I am.
So you
Excellent.
just saw the best sales opportunity where somebody comes in, they fall in love, yes, yes, yes. Let's talk about the worst. Victoria's coming downstairs with the elevator opens.
Which unit did you like best?
PH1.
Oh, great. Why are you buying?
I'm not really gonna buy today.
Are you ready to buy today?
No.
So that's wonderful. That's a wonderful example that no matter what they say, we want you to try and ask all 3 questions. We want you to go through those 3 questions, even if they're walking out. So thank you for your patience and listening to the first training video. This is one of 3. We're going to be explaining in a little bit more detail why we do what we do. And again, please follow it carefully, especially practicing the script 15 times before and looking at the checklist so you're not missing anything like name tag or person in the bag. And we have very, very professional open houses every time. In the list that you received, there is a checklist of how to close an open house, which we didn't go through. It's actually very, very self-explanatory, and you can read it, and please do it. And as far as in the script, there says what you're supposed to do when you make follow-up calls. It depends if you're as lead or not, and talk to either me or my assistant, and we'll confirm if you're doing those or not. The final comment about open houses, and it's very, very important that you're aware that there is a thing called an open house bag at every open house. It's very important that you get to know the open house very, very well. So get the open house and sit down one-on-one with Eric or with myself or with one of my other assistants and go through each set of documents in there so you know everything that goes on in that bag to be used in the sales program. Good luck at the open houses. Remember, you're a direct reflection on the company. You're the face of the company, so please take this with the seriousness and importance that it has. And always be very, very positive. We're looking for our salespeople to get Platinum Realtors substantial, positive energy, momentum, knowledge, and listings. So thank you very much. Bye-bye. So this is training video number 2. Our main purpose in the training video here is to not just role play what we do, but to give you the reasons we do what we do. So let's start with the open house table that's at the open house. Really, the table should only have the sign-in sheets and pens. No purses, no cell phone, no keys, no business cards from any agent who visited. So some agents visit and leave a business card there. Take that business card away. We have what's called preferred lenders. Preferred lenders will either give us what they called their lender application sheet or their rate sheets. Lender application is if the buyer writes out this information, the lender can tell them how much his payments will be. And this is a sample rate sheet. It kind of tries to entice the buyer by saying, I know the price is $500,000, but your payment is only $2,500. So we usually have 1 or 2 of these at any open house. And buyers do want to see these, but we don't want to place them here with the flyer. Generally, what I want is a very clean desk, this to be away or in your yellow pad of paper. And I generally don't even want flyers here. The only thing that is allowed here, if you want, is a flyer so that they can pick one up. But regardless if there's a flyer here or not, you must have flyers with you in your yellow pad all the time. One of the most important things at the open house is you can be sitting down, but as anybody approaches you, you want to stand up while keeping eye contact with them, grabbing a flyer and having an outstretched hand. So as they're approaching you, they're approaching a smile and an outstretched hand, and the first words out of your mouth is,
welcome, thank you for coming.
Period. So we don't want to say hello, how are you, or anything, but welcome and thank you for coming. Now, in your open house, this really is ideally how you have. Victoria has her script on top, yellow pad of paper to make any notes for the developer to know, any comments anybody makes, we want to make notes. And obviously, if anybody wants to write an offer, we want to get his name and phone number immediately. We don't want to rely on the open house sign-in sheet because sometimes it's illegible, sometimes they write the wrong numbers, surprisingly. So if anybody's interested, we want to ask them again, what's your name and phone number? And even if it says, oh, it's in the sign-in sheet, just say, do you mind giving it to me again? Because that's really why we have a pad of paper. If anybody says it's the unit's beautiful, the crown molding, the color, the carpet, good or bad, we want to make notes. Because if we're pointing out the crown moldings every time, and we're constantly hearing that people are saying crown moldings are kind of ugly, we should stop pointing that out. And if we're not pointing out the refrigerators, and everybody who walks in says the refrigerators are amazing, we should start pointing out the refrigerators. So the feedback's very important, as well for the developers, because many of my developers have more than one development. They want feedback to know what to emphasize in the future. And on the bottom of it is flyers. The main reason for the flyer is, I don't want somebody to come to the open house, and as he's coming to the open house, you're looking down, and then looking up to give them a flyer. I'd rather have the eye contact with the smile, I'm not a good smiler, smile, and the flyer as they walk in. Okay, Second thing that's very, very important, please give me the script as you walk in. As I walk in, you say,
"Welcome, thank you for coming. May I give you a brief description of the building, or would you prefer to simply walk around?"
The important, extremely important is, if my answer is no, what do you say?
If you can just sign in.
And then what else do you say?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. You don't say a limited or a smaller script. You don't say go here, you don't say the model, you don't say remember, you just don't say anything.
Right.
And again, we have found that 90% of the time they'll take 2 steps and they will
Ask me a question and where to go.
Now what we've learned is the question that they ask is not what they really want to know. They're subconsciously changed their mind and do want the description. So they ask a question and then you go into the
script,
regardless of what the question is.
Exactly.
Now you'll find out that 99% of the time, whatever question they ask and you've given them the script, they won't come back with the same question. And if it was that important, of course they would. They'd be like, I didn't ask that, tell me about the parking.
Right.
But almost always they never go back to the parking. What they really want is a script. One thing to focus on is that we genuinely only have 1 minute to speak to anybody in any sales presentation if they're open to be spoken to. So if they're coming in and they're not open to hear what you're saying, even if you talk for half a minute, or 10 minutes, they're not going to hear any of it. That's why we ask for their permission to speak before we speak. When we go inside the unit, what's the first words in the script, Victoria?
May I give you a brief description of the amenities in the model?
Beautiful. And if the answer is no?
I say nothing.
Exactly. You don't say, well, go into the living room, or just in case, because you're bothering them. They have expressed their desire not to be bothered. And again, we're trying to create an environment to maximize potential for an emotional attachment between the buyer and the property. And if they want that attachment to be unhindered and unaggressive, we want to give them that type of environment. And if they have any questions, they'll come back to you. So again, if you say, do you want a description, and I say no, just say great, walk on in. Not great, but if you have any questions, ask me later. In the model unit, again, you must have a pad of paper for any comments, and you must have a flyer. Victoria, what's the #1 thing a non-licensed agent cannot do?
We cannot quote prices.
So what do you do? If I come into a unit, or I'm in the building and I say, hey, this is a beautiful unit, where am I? And you say unit number 30, and I say, well, how much is it? What do you have to do?
Price is right here on the back of the flyer.
Absolutely correct. And that's why you have extra flyers. Even if they have a flyer, you don't want to impose their space and say, on your flyer it says, you want to just hand them another flyer that says, like it says here, number 30 is $400,000, or $1.2 million in your case. Okay, sales opportunity number 3. When somebody comes down the elevator and you're sitting down, what are you supposed to do?
I'm going to stand up, and I'm going to say, which unit did you like best?
Exactly. Always be standing, always be standing. Give them the respect they deserve. Okay, now we'll go into what we call our frequently asked questions and comments from buyers. So why don't you give me the frequently asked questions,
Okay.
and I'll give you the comments. So you've come down, most often this is at the elevator in the lobby area. Sometimes it's in the model with the second salesperson.
Okay.
Go ahead.
What is the HOA fees or the homeowner association cost?
Wonderful. So we've scripted each one of these examples. And again, we want you to do it just like it says here. So here it says, pointing to the flyer on top of the prices, the HOA monthly fees. So if we take one of the flyers, and on this flyer it says, here, the HOA fees monthly. This one actually doesn't
Except
say.
for on Shoreline.
We gotta fix that. But 90% of the time it will say right on top. So please focus on it. Now it's very important that you know this definition right on top. HOA fees cover the cost of landscaping, trash removal, elevator service, and electricity for a building. A substantial amount goes to a building reserve so that in 10 to 15 years, when you need a new roof, there'll be money to fix it. You should have that right off of the tip of your tongue. Because almost always they ask, what's the HOA? And they come, what does the HOA cover? And we want to have that very, very scripted. Let's try another one.
You know, I've heard the market's going down. I think that the prices will keep falling.
That's what we've heard a lot. We're not hearing it much anymore. This is a great example of what we're trying to keep our sales force away from having those type of conversations. We find that people giving those conversations are either people who are serious or most often people who are not serious. And instead of engaging in that negative conversation in front of others or trying to convince them, what do we say? Interesting, we believe we're at the bottom of the market. In fact, we have sold more in all our projects in the last 60 days than we did in the last 6 months. Would you like to speak to your own regarding the market? And most often when they hear, do you want to speak to your own, they'll identify if they're a serious buyer or not. And if they're not, they walk away. If they are, they say yes, and we don't fight that. We're just trying to find the truth. Mm-hmm. Are you a buyer or not? If you are, have a good conversation with a good agent. If you're not, have a good day. Mm-hmm. But regardless, we are giving them the answer. Next question.
You know, I'm not really ready to buy yet. We've just started looking, and we have a lot of options, so.
Wonderful. And again, we have a script, just so you know. The amount of new inventory is disappearing really fast. Yellow knows a lot of the inventory. Do you want his help in analyzing what's best for you? Again, the whole idea is give them the answer of what we believe, and then simply ask, do you want to speak to your own? And if they're just not interested, they would say, no, it's okay, I'll have a good day. And if they are, they'll say, yes, I would like to, and then I'll call them the same day, next day. What are the questions I hate answered, and I never allow answers, Victoria?
How old are you?
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been working for your Ron?
Mm-hmm.
What else do you do with your free time?
Mm-hmm.
Are you a licensed agent?
Mm-hmm.
How did you find your Ron to hire you?
So basically, what's the answer to any of those questions?
Interesting question. Why do you ask?
There we go. Or in other words, you're not to answer.
Right.
It's not, I'm getting my license, I have my license, I thought about getting my license, I love real estate, I'm an actor, I only do it part-time, I only do it full-time, I've been there a week, I've been there a long time, I've been there a short time. No answers whatsoever. Wonderful. Now the one that's hardest, and actually is the simplest, is when they're ready to write an offer. Mm-hmm. So let's go ahead and try that. Now I'm going to treat Victoria as an agent. So she comes, actually, let me treat her as somebody, I don't know if she's an agent or not. So she comes in and she says,
I'm ready to write an offer.
Oh, wonderful, thank God, there is a guy. Generally the response is, are you an agent? If you're an agent, is your buyer with you? If you're an agent and your buyer's with you, are you ready to write a contract right there? If that's true, in your open house bag you'll see a package to give them, which is the buyer's package, and you hand it to them and you let them sign. Regardless of anything, you always try and put in the script, which is the contracts for new condominiums seem like a lot of information. If you wish, we can set up an appointment at Yalon's office. He's used this contract over 200 times and can explain it easily and quickly for you. Now, if you're a buyer who says it, again, are you ready to buy today? If the answer is yes, set up an appointment with Yalon and get Eric or Yaron on the phone immediately. Mm-hmm. Now, if they want, give them a package. The only reason we used to give packages out all the time, we found that it takes almost a full day, a full hour per package to print, plus all the printing costs. So they're very, very hard to create. And now we have email and we have them as a zip folder. So we really prefer sending that via email. What's the next one? Payment?
What will be my payment amount?
That's a great question. We have a great script, and that's one of the few exceptions where, again, you use either the countrywide form or the payment form, and you hand that out. Generally, it's not anywhere. It's a little bit hidden, but easily accessible. And again, while handing it out, you give the response that we've said. Developer has secured special and low financing for this development through Shadi at Countrywide or whoever it is. Please call them. And then there's all the other questions in here. Please get used to each and every one of the questions and really understand them. If you don't know any of the questions really well, please call Yalon and he'll explain them to you, or Eric will. Now, what do you do when a question comes up that's not on here? So one we got at Shoreham a lot was the spa, right?
Yes.
Let's try that one.
Okay.
So you come into the open and you say,
you know, I really love the roof deck on 40. Mm-hmm. Are you allowed to put a jacuzzi up there?
That's a great question. I know Yalon has a great relationship with the developer. Mm-hmm. I'll have him give you a call. If you are able to put it, are you ready to move forward with an offer? The whole idea is, yes, acknowledge the question, say that Yalon is the guy who'll give you the answer. If the answer is what you hope, are you ready to move an offer? So can I have 50 pets? Great question. Yellow knows the developer really well. He can ask, if you can have 50 pets, are you ready to write an offer? Okay? And then again, closing the open is very, very important in the follow-up questions. I think that covers training video number 2. Thank you very much for looking. And now welcome to training video number 3. Basically in this video what I want to explain is the differences between what we do and what other people do at open houses. Please note that when somebody comes to an open house, usually he's seen 2 or 3 other properties that day. He will probably try and see 8 properties during that one day, and he's probably been looking for a month to 2 months. So he's been in 30, 40, sometimes 100 interactions of open house, and most of those interactions have been negative. So again, our main focus in selling real estate of the open house is creating an environment to maximize the opportunity of an emotional well, you guys could probably say it better than me by now. Creating an environment to maximize opportunity to create an emotional attachment between the buyer and the product. So what we find often at open houses is that the buyer coming is looking to steamroll right through the introductory comments of the agent and get right into the property. So they're very close. You'll see them kind of coming in, almost already saying no, no, no to all the questions you're going to be asking or other people ask. And we want to completely take that and open them up and get them ready to buy the condo, get them ready to walk in and see the grandeur of the new construction, get them ready to fall in love with the condominium. So I'll describe what most people do. What most people do is they'll have the flyer on the table. They will stand in front of the table because they really know the only thing you want is the flyer. And as you approach them, their first question to you is going to be, usually they're sitting down actually, but their first question is, usually they're sitting down reading a newspaper and on the phone actually, since we're talking about it. But the first question they always ask you is, how did you hear about us? Do you live in the neighborhood? How long have you been looking? If you don't want to buy this condominium, will you buy a different condominium? On the house that you're living in, do you have a realtor? And if you don't, can I be your realtor to sell your condo? So again, they've been barraged by those 5, 6, 8 questions 30, 40 times before they've met you. And they're very, very close. All they want to do in general open houses is bypass that agent. In fact, when that agent's on the phone, they're actually happy. They want to scribble a name, they want to grab the flyer, and they want to go inside the unit. Now compare that to our open house. We're one of the few agents out there, sales assistants, that actually has a name tag. We're one of the few ones who sit at the entry of the property. We're definitely the only one who has a flyer in hand, and as soon as you walk into the property, we stand up and smile, keep eye contact, thank you for coming, and give you what you want, which is the flyer. Completely churning around the whole interaction between the buyer and the agent, and more importantly, the property. Again, going back to our original comment, most buyers, when you say, thank you for coming, would you like a description, will say no, because they're so into the mindset of no, 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 that it takes them a minute to internalize it. So give them that minute. A lot of them will just simply smile and say yes, and then you give them the introduction. But the ones that don't, give them the minute and don't say anything. Let them take their 2 steps, and they'll turn around and ask you a question and give them the script. Remember with the script, to follow it fully, it should end with a call to action, namely sign in, and then you wait till they sign in, and then you give them another call to action. Remember to go to model 303 and 304. It's most often go to the models. A little bit more philosophy about our open houses. There's a thing called nonverbal communication. The standing, handing, smiling, I wish I had Victoria here smiling, or Ian, but the smiling and giving the flyer is all nonverbal communication of things they're not seeing at other open houses. Number 2, why is it we say what we say during open houses? The first thing we say is we give a definition of what's at the development. What we find most often when seeing other developments that are for sale, remember we sell 6, 10, 15, 20, 100 condominium units in one building, which is very unlike selling a single family home or very unlike selling a single condominium. What we find often in condominium developments is that for the first couple of minutes that the buyer is touring the project, he's trying to understand the project. So he's confused. Do I have 3 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms? Do I have 600,000 square feet dollar units or 1,800 square foot units? Do I have townhomes or condos? He's just trying to figure that out, looking down while he's walking through the lobby. As compared to ours, I know that's what they want to figure out. They want to understand the lay of the land. I know that as a sales system, you only have 1 minute to talk to them. And I know you only have 1 minute if they're receptive to hearing from you. As such, when they come in, I ask for permission, therefore turning them to receptive mode. Give them 1 minute, and then as they walk away from me, they're not trying to figure out the lay of the land, especially since I've already directed them to go to 304. They're now just opening their eyes, opening their hearts, hopefully, and truly having the maximum potential of falling in love with the product. So in sales opportunity number 1, we want to be inviting with verbal and nonverbal communication. We want to describe the product in less than 1 minute and only after permission to speak. And we want to give them a call to action so they know what their next step is. And instead of figuring out their next step, they can be open to falling in love with the elevator, high-end finishes, new construction, smell and feel. Opportunity number 2. As we stated, you only have up to 1 minute to answer and sell a pitch. So just describing the product takes a minute. Because we want to maximize the opportunity to say all the great things in the product, we do that in 2 different ways. One, we have you in that model giving the pitch of the amenities. But even showing all the amenities, we only have 1 minute. So we have a different thing called silent salesman. In every condominium development we sell today, we have 7 to 8 page flyers throughout the unit, on the website, and in the MLS. Ian, can you grab us a sample of that in the box right next to you? The whole idea of the silent salesman is further opportunity to show them what a wonderful product it is. So on Shoreham, that's an example of the Shoreham silent salesman, and we'll have 8 of them framed. And again, they're on the website and they're on the MLS. So we want you to point that out. That should be in every script in the model unit. So we have 2 more sales opportunity. Again, the first one's in the introduction to give the lay of the land. Second is in the model to give the high-end finishes. Third is what we call the silent salesman, which are all framed throughout the unit. And the third sales opportunity is downstairs. When you come back into the unit, we've identified 3 questions to ask, and we ask that you always we request that you always ask the same questions. Question number 1. I want to do it right. I don't want to get fired by my boss. Which unit did you like the best? Question number 2. Why are you buying? Question number 3. Are you ready to buy today? Again, the purpose of sales opportunity number 2 is twofold. 1 is to identify if the buyer is a real buyer. If he says no, 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 he's not a real buyer for that product. God bless him. Have a good day. If he says yes, then he's a potential real buyer. And why do we want to identify a real buyer? If they're one of the top 7, or if they're one of the top 3. Let me describe what one of the top 3 is. We have found that if somebody comes to an open house and stays at the open house for more than 30 minutes, or asks more than 3 questions, or comes to the property more than once, he'll come Sunday and he'll come back Tuesday, he's a prospect. So either you're in the top 7, married, divorced, baby, death, new job, lost a job, parent helping son buy, or asked more than 3 questions, been to the property more than 30 minutes, or came to the property more than twice. We want to create a lead sheet about that. So in that yellow pad, you want to make a note of that. Make sure you get that gentleman's name and phone number. Now, in sales opportunity number 3, our goal is to identify one of 2 things. If he didn't like something in the building, we want to send him back into the building to find the reason or a better reason to buy that unit. So, do you like, which unit did you like the most? I like 301. but you know the bedrooms were small. So I want you to have a very good knowledge of the building so you can say, you know, you're right, 301's bedrooms are a little bit smaller. Why don't you go into the bedrooms in 303 or 204? They were large. The light's not good enough in the building. Well, did you see the light in the unit number 302? It's much more beautiful. There's no views. Have you seen Penthouse 405? It's got phenomenal views. So you got to know the product really well. And one of the reasons for sales opportunity number 2 is to identify what's a hindrance in them moving forward and to overcome that hindrance by sending them back into the building. Or simply stated, get them back into the building to look at it again. Especially agents who are busy and running, oh, it doesn't fit my client's needs. What is your client looking for? He's looking for views, light, big bedrooms, and push them back into a unit. So they spent 30 minutes to get there. You don't want them to just be there for 5 minutes. You want to extend the time. And again, the more time they're there, the higher chance they'll fall in love, the higher chance they'll end up buying. So reason for sales opportunity number 3 is to get them back into the door. The second reason for sales opportunity number 3 is to see if they're a lead. And if they're a lead, please remember to log their name, to ask their name and phone number again in the yellow sheet so that you can give it to us. Do not count on the sign-in sheets. However, if they don't give you their name and number, don't force it. Just make a note, and it's better to know that John, who's a guy who's married with 3 children, or a lady whose husband's moving in from Chicago, came twice. They didn't want to leave a number, but it should be something we should know for the future. This is my fun part. I really believe in every person that I hire for the company. We figured out what type of people to hire for selling condominiums. I want you to use your knowledge, your smile, your energy to create a positive atmosphere for people. If you have any specific questions that come up, make a note of them on the yellow paper and share it with us. I want to help you. If you have any comments that you want to change anything in anything that we've talked about, make a note on the yellow piece of paper and ask us. We'll probably let you. But without you asking or without you telling us, we're not going to expand and we're not going to accept any changes. We want changes, we want improvement, we want to be the best team out selling real estate in the West Side and San Fernando Valley, and you are integral in helping us grow. Please give us feedback. Please be very, very professional. Be very, very courteous. And I'll end with one of the kind of funniest stories. The guy who is dressed the worst and is the rudest with the cheapest watch most often is your best buyer. So never be discourteous to anybody. Be professional to anybody. And in advance, I thank you for helping us grow our company, our reputation, and hopefully our profitability. Have a great day and good luck at the open houses.